What if one of the healthiest drinks you trust after 60 becomes harmful the moment it's mixed with the wrong foods? Many senior women drink beet juice every day, convinced they're supporting their heart and circulation, without realizing that certain common ingredients can quietly disrupt digestion, overload the kidneys, interfere with blood flow, and trigger health problems that never seem connected to that morning glass. As Dr. Eliza Hart, a board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist with over 15 years of experience in women's health and hormonal wellness, I've seen how dramatically the body's response to food and nutrients changes after 50, and especially after 60. Beet juice is a powerful drink rich in compounds that influence circulation, blood pressure, liver function, and energy. But power without understanding often leads to unintended consequences. What works beautifully at 40 can quietly cause problems later when digestion slows, kidney filtration becomes more sensitive, and the body reacts differently to acids, sugars, and mineral load. Before we go any further, if you're watching from another country, please comment the name of your country below. It helps me see how far this message about senior women's health is reaching around the world. And if this topic matters to you, consider subscribing so you don't miss future guidance like this. Stay until the end, because I have one small but important insight about beet juice that most women are never told, and it may completely change how you drink it. Now let's look at the 7 food combinations you should never mix with beet juice after 60. 1. Beet juice plus lemon. Before we talk about combinations that seem more obviously problematic, let's start with the one that surprises most women because it often feels like the healthiest choice on the list. Adding lemon to beet juice is widely believed to boost detox, enhance freshness, and improve nutrient absorption. Yet after 60, this pairing can quietly work against the very systems women are trying to support. From a biological standpoint, lemon introduces a strong acidic load into a drink that is already active in the digestive tract. Beet juice stimulates gastric secretions, bile flow, and nitric oxide production, all of which require a relatively stable internal environment to work efficiently. When a large amount of lemon juice is added, the sudden drop in pH can irritate the stomach lining, especially in senior women, whose protective gastric mucosa has naturally thinned with age, reduced estrogen support, and slower cellular repair. This irritation often presents as subtle discomfort, reflux, or nausea, rather than sharp pain, which is why many women never suspect their morning juice as the cause. In my clinical experience, many women in their late 50s and 60s describe feeling lightheaded, weak, or unsettled shortly after drinking beet juice with lemon. When we review their routine, the pattern is remarkably consistent: half a lemon, sometimes even a full one, squeezed into a single glass. After menopause, changes in stomach acid regulation, vagal nerve sensitivity, and mineral handling make the digestive system far less tolerant of aggressive acidity, and what once felt energizing can begin to feel draining instead. There is also a quieter nutritional issue at play. Beets contain plant-based iron and beneficial pigments that support oxygen delivery and circulation, but these nutrients rely on balanced conditions for proper absorption. Excess acidity from lemon can interfere with how iron and certain phytonutrients are processed, reducing the benefits women expect from beet juice while increasing digestive stress. Instead of supporting energy and blood flow, the body is forced to focus on neutralizing irritation and restoring internal balance. This does not mean lemon is harmful or should be avoided entirely. The issue is not lemon itself, but the quantity and the timing. A few drops used occasionally for flavor are very different from habitual heavy squeezing. For women with sensitive digestion, reflux, or a history of stomach discomfort, even small amounts may be better avoided altogether when drinking beet juice. As we move forward, you'll begin to notice a pattern forming across these combinations, because the real problem is rarely a single food, but how certain ingredients interact with a body that has become wiser, more sensitive, and less forgiving over time. 2. Beet juice plus honey or added sugar. What makes this combination particularly deceptive is that it feels comforting rather than aggressive. Honey syrups or a spoon of sugar are often added to soften the earthy taste of beet juice, especially for women who are just beginning this habit, and the result feels gentle, familiar, and reassuring. Yet beneath that pleasant sweetness, a very different physiological reaction is taking place, one that quietly undermines the primary reason most women drink beet juice in the first place. Beet juice is valued for its natural nitrates, which the body converts into nitric oxide, a compound essential for relaxing blood vessels, improving circulation, and supporting stable blood pressure. This conversion process is delicate and highly responsive to metabolic signals, gut enzymes, and blood sugar balance. When concentrated sugars are introduced, whether from honey or syrups labeled as natural, the body shifts its priority toward managing a rapid glucose rise. Insulin release increases, oxidative stress rises, and the nitrate to nitric oxide pathway becomes far less efficient. In simple terms, the sweetness steals attention from the circulation benefits beet juice is meant to provide. Among senior women, this shift is even more pronounced. After 60, insulin sensitivity naturally declines, liver glucose processing slows, and inflammatory responses last longer, especially in the presence of repeated sugar exposure and reduced muscle glucose uptake. In my practice, women often describe feeling a brief lift after drinking sweetened beet juice, followed by fatigue, heaviness, or mental fog later in the morning. When we trace the pattern back, it becomes clear that the added sweetness creates a metabolic roller coaster rather than sustained support. There is also a long-term concern that rarely gets discussed. Regularly combining beet juice with added sugars places additional strain on the liver, which is already working harder after menopause to regulate cholesterol hormones and detoxification pathways. Over time, this pattern can subtly worsen insulin resistance, increase triglyceride production, and encourage fat storage in the liver, gradually affecting energy levels and vascular health. Even in women who otherwise eat carefully and maintain a healthy weight, what often surprises women is that beet juice does not need sweetness to be effective or even enjoyable. Taste perception changes with consistency, and the palate adapts more quickly than most expect. When sweetness is truly needed during the transition, gentler companions such as cucumber or a small amount of green apple provide balance without disrupting nitric oxide production or overloading blood sugar regulation. As we continue, you'll see that many of these combinations fail for the same underlying reason, because the aging body no longer tolerates shortcuts that once seemed harmless, and subtle metabolic conflicts begin to matter far more than bold flavors. 3. Beet juice plus orange juice. What makes this combination especially misleading is how vibrant and nourishing it appears, because two deeply colored vitamin-rich juices blended together instinctively signal vitality and renewal. For many senior women, beet juice mixed with orange feels like an upgrade rather than a risk. Yet this pairing often creates internal stress long before any clear warning signs appear. The issue begins in the digestive tract. Oranges introduce a sharp acidic profile alongside a rapid dose of natural sugars, and when these meet the compounds in beet juice, the mixture becomes highly fermentable. In a younger digestive system, this reaction may pass unnoticed, but after 60, slower gastric emptying and reduced enzyme efficiency allow fermentation to occur more easily. Gas production increases pressure, builds in the intestines, and circulation is subtly redirected away from the very pathways beet juice is meant to support. There is also a lesser-known interaction involving vitamin C. While vitamin C is essential, high concentrations consumed alongside nitrate-rich foods can interfere with the body's ability to convert nitrates into nitric oxide efficiently. Instead of enhancing circulation, the excess acidity and sugar load shift the body's focus toward managing digestive imbalance. The result is often a feeling of bloating, lightheadedness, or internal restlessness that women rarely associate with something as innocent as orange juice. Clinically, many women describe a pattern that feels confusing at first. They report enjoying the taste, yet shortly afterward notice abdominal tightness, fluctuating energy, or a subtle drop in blood pressure that leaves them feeling unsteady. When their routine is examined, beet juice combined with orange juice appears repeatedly. After menopause, blood sugar regulation becomes less flexible, and when two naturally sweet juices are consumed without fiber, glucose enters the bloodstream, quickly amplifying fatigue and vascular strain. Another factor is timing. Beet juice works best when the stomach is relatively calm and receptive, while orange juice demands buffering from food to soften its acidity. When taken together on an empty stomach, this mismatch overwhelms digestive signaling and disrupts nutrient absorption. Over time, this pattern can aggravate reflux, worsen bloating, and quietly diminish the benefits women expect from both ingredients. This does not mean oranges are problematic or that beet juice should be avoided. The problem lies in compressing too much acidity and sugar into a single glass. Separating these juices by several hours allows each to support the body without interference. Beet juice can be enjoyed earlier, while orange juice is better paired with a meal later in the day. As we move on, you'll begin to recognize how often well-intended combinations fail, not because they are unhealthy, but because the aging body demands precision rather than excess. 4. Beet juice plus vinegar. At first glance, this combination feels almost medicinal, as if adding vinegar somehow sharpens beet juice into a more powerful cleanse. Many senior women reach for apple cider vinegar or other fermented vinegars, believing they are enhancing detoxification, metabolism, or blood sugar control. Yet this pairing often places the body under a form of stress it was never meant to handle, especially after 60. From a physiological perspective, beet juice relies on its natural nitrates to support circulation through nitric oxide production, a process that works best in a balanced internal environment. Vinegar, however, introduces a highly concentrated acetic acid load that immediately alters this environment. Instead of supporting nitrate conversion, the acidity can degrade a significant portion of these compounds before the body has a chance to use them. The result is subtle, but important women believe they are improving blood flow, while the very mechanism they rely on is being weakened. Digestive tolerance also changes with age. After menopause, the stomach lining becomes more sensitive. Acid regulation less stable and protective, mucus thinner. When raw beet juice is combined with vinegar, this acidic intensity can irritate the upper digestive tract, leading to sensations of burning heaviness or nausea that may appear mild at first, but become more persistent over time. Many women dismiss these signals as unrelated digestive quirks, never realizing their morning drink is the trigger. In clinical conversations, I often hear a familiar pattern. Women describe moments of dizziness or weakness shortly after drinking beet juice with vinegar, particularly when taken on an empty stomach. This occurs because both ingredients influence blood pressure through different pathways. Beet juice gently lowers pressure through vasodilation, while vinegar can disrupt electrolyte balance and vascular tone. Together, they can cause blood pressure to dip more than expected, leaving women feeling unsettled rather than energized. There is also an often overlooked burden placed on the liver and kidneys. Vinegar forces the body to actively neutralize excess acid, increasing the workload of organs already working harder with age. For women with sensitive kidneys or a history of reflux, this repeated acid challenge can quietly worsen symptoms and reduce resilience over time. This does not mean vinegar lacks benefits. It simply does not belong in beet juice. Vinegar is better reserved for meals where food buffers its acidity and slows its impact. Beet juice, by contrast, works best when kept simple and gentle. Before we move on, let me ask you this. If you've been adding vinegar to your beet juice thinking it was helping, comment 1 below. If you've never mixed the two, comment 0. Your responses help me understand how common this habit really is. As we continue, you'll see how easily small, well-meaning additions can shift a supportive drink into something the aging body struggles to manage. 5. Beet juice plus milk or dairy products. This is the combination that often feels the most confusing because it looks balanced on the surface, almost like a complete meal in a glass. Beets for circulation milk or yogurt for protein and calcium blended together to feel nourishing and grounding. Yet for many senior women, this pairing becomes the quiet source of digestive heaviness, inflammation, and nutrient loss that gradually erodes the benefits they expect. The first issue begins with how these foods behave the moment they meet in the stomach. Beet juice naturally stimulates stomach acid and bile release to support nitrate activation and circulation. Dairy, especially milk and yogurt, contains proteins like casein that require a very specific digestive environment to break down properly. When the acidity triggered by beet juice collides with dairy proteins, premature curdling occurs inside the stomach rather than during controlled digestion. This creates a dense, slow-moving mixture that the digestive system struggles to process efficiently. After 60, this struggle becomes far more noticeable. Digestive enzyme production declines, stomach emptying slows, and lactose tolerance often decreases even in women who never had issues earlier in life. In clinical settings, women frequently describe a familiar sequence after drinking beet juice with dairy, a sense of fullness that lingers too long. Pressure in the chest or upper abdomen, subtle reflux or bloating that appears out of proportion to the amount consumed. These symptoms are not dramatic, which is why they are often ignored, but over time they become persistent. Beyond discomfort, there is a hidden nutritional consequence. When digestion is compromised, absorption suffers. Calcium from dairy and key phytonutrients from beet juice compete rather than complement each other in this environment. Instead of strengthening bones and circulation, the body absorbs less from both, while inflammatory byproducts increase. For women already navigating postmenopausal bone loss or low energy, this inefficiency quietly works against long-term health goals. The liver is also affected in ways many women never consider. Beet juice supports blood flow and metabolic activity, while dairy slows digestion and thickens stomach contents. When consumed together, the liver must manage conflicting signals, at the same time filtering metabolic waste while handling delayed nutrient breakdown. In women with fatty liver tendencies or sluggish metabolism, this added burden can increase inflammation and fatigue, rather than relieve it. This does not mean dairy is harmful or that beet juice should be avoided. It means they serve different purposes and thrive in different contexts. Dairy is best consumed with solid food where digestion is gradual and buffered. Beet juice works best when the stomach is light and receptive, allowing its compounds to activate without resistance. As we continue, this pattern becomes clearer because the aging body rewards simplicity and separation, not combination for convenience. 6. Beet juice plus spinach. At first, this pairing feels almost virtuous, the kind of combination that seems impossible to question because both ingredients are celebrated as nutritional powerhouses. Beets for circulation and energy, spinach for minerals and antioxidants, blended together to create what many women believe is a super juice. Yet for senior women, this combination often places silent pressure on systems that are already working harder with age, particularly the kidneys, bones, and mineral balance. The central issue here lies in oxalates, natural plant compounds found in especially high amounts in both beets and spinach. Oxalates are not inherently harmful, but they bind tightly to minerals such as calcium, magnesium, and iron. When consumed in moderate amounts from a single source, the body can usually manage and eliminate them. However, when beet juice and spinach are combined in a concentrated raw form, oxalate levels rise sharply in a way the body is not designed to handle efficiently. After 60, kidney filtration naturally becomes less robust, and the ability to clear crystal-forming compounds declines. In this context, excess oxalates can bind with calcium in the kidneys, forming calcium oxalate crystals over time. This process is gradual and silent, which is why many women do not feel immediate symptoms. Instead, They may notice vague lower back discomfort changes in urinary patterns or unexplained fatigue long before kidney stones are ever diagnosed. In clinical conversations, I often see a consistent pattern. Women who regularly drink beet and spinach juice describe feeling virtuous about their root, yet blood work may reveal declining iron levels, worsening bone density, or early kidney stress, despite an otherwise careful diet. Oxalates do not announce themselves loudly. They quietly block mineral absorption, meaning that even when women consume calcium-rich foods, the body struggles to use them effectively. Digestive sensitivity also plays a role. High oxalate juices move quickly through the gut, especially when fiber is removed through juicing. For women with slower digestion, low stomach acid, or irritable bowel tendencies, this rapid passage can irritate the intestinal lining, leading to bloating, cramping, or loose stools that appear unpredictably and are rarely linked back to the juice itself. This does not mean spinach or beets should be avoided. It means they should not be compressed into the same glass. Spinach is far gentler when cooked, as heat reduces oxalate content and improves mineral availability. Beet juice, on the other hand, benefits from being paired with low oxalate greens, such as romaine celery leaves or herbs like mint, which support digestion without overwhelming mineral balance. As we move closer to the final combination, you'll notice that the most problematic pairings are rarely about poor food choices, but about stacking too much of the same biochemical load onto a body that now requires thoughtful restraint rather than excess. 7. Beet juice plus carrot. This pairing often earns instant trust because it looks familiar and reassuring. Two humble root vegetables blended into a bright earthy juice that feels traditional rather than extreme. Many senior women choose beet and carrot juice believing they are giving their body steady nourishment, yet this combination quietly concentrates more metabolic load than the aging system can process comfortably in a single glass. The first concern emerges from oxalates. Both beets and carrots contain naturally occurring oxalates, and while each can be handled well on its own in moderate portions, juicing removes fiber and compresses these compounds into a form that enters the body rapidly. When combined, oxalate exposure rises sharply, increasing the likelihood that these compounds bind with calcium in the kidneys. After 60, renal clearance slows. Hydration signals are less reliable, and crystal-forming compounds are eliminated less efficiently, creating conditions that favor gradual kidney stress rather than immediate discomfort. Blood sugar response adds a second layer of strain. Carrots and beets both contain natural sugars that are released quickly when juiced. Without the buffering effect of fiber, glucose enters the bloodstream faster than many senior women expect. In a body already managing reduced insulin sensitivity and slower glucose uptake by muscle tissue, this surge can lead to energy swings, internal fatigue, and subtle inflammatory responses over time. Women often notice feeling briefly energized, followed by heaviness or cravings that seem out of place after a healthy drink. In clinical discussions, a common pattern appears. Women who routinely drink beet and carrot juice report bloating abdominal pressure or a sensation of fullness that lingers longer than anticipated. Some describe mild digestive discomfort that seems inconsistent, arriving on some days but not others. When routines are examined closely, the concentrated combination of these two roots frequently stands out as the unrecognized trigger. There is also a mineral absorption issue that rarely receives attention. Oxalates bind not only calcium, but also iron and magnesium, reducing their availability to the body. Over time, this interference can contribute to fatigue, muscle weakness, or declining bone resilience, particularly in women navigating postmenopausal mineral loss. The juice appears nourishing, yet the body absorbs less while working harder to eliminate what it cannot use. This does not mean carrots are problematic or that beet juice should be avoided. Each serves the body well when used thoughtfully. Carrot juice is gentler when consumed alone or paired with low oxalate vegetables, while beet juice benefits from simplicity and restraint. Alternating days rather than combining roots in the same glass allows the body to receive their benefits without overload. As we approach the final section, one theme becomes unmistakable. Because after 60, health is no longer about intensifying what seems good, but about understanding how much the body can truly handle at one time. 8. How senior women should drink beet juice safely. After hearing which combinations quietly work against the body, many women begin to wonder whether beet juice is worth drinking at all. This is where perspective matters, because the goal is not avoidance, but precision. When used correctly, beet juice remains one of the most supportive natural tools for circulation energy and metabolic balance in senior women, yet it must be approached with the respect a powerful substance deserves. The foundation begins with dosage. More is not better, especially after 60. One medium beet yielding roughly 100 to 120 milliliters of fresh juice is sufficient to stimulate nitric oxide production without overwhelming the kidneys or digestive system. Larger amounts may feel invigorating at first, but they increase nitrate and oxalate load in a way the aging body struggles to regulate over time. Consistency at the right dose is far more effective than intensity. Equally important is simplicity. Beet juice works best when consumed clean without sweeteners, acids, or heavy additions. When the ingredient list stays short, the body can focus on absorption rather than correction. If the flavor feels strong at first, this usually reflects an unadapted palate rather than a need for modification. In clinical practice, women who allow their taste to adjust often report improved tolerance within days, along with steadier energy and digestion. Timing also plays a critical role. Beet juice is most effective when the stomach is relatively light, such as in the morning, or at least 30 minutes before a meal. In this state, nitrate conversion occurs more smoothly, and digestive signaling remains clear. Drinking beet juice immediately after heavy food slows absorption and blunts its circulatory benefits, leaving women disappointed by results that never fully appear. Freshness is another detail that cannot be overlooked. Beet juice begins to oxidize quickly once extracted, and with oxidation comes a gradual loss of potency. Juice that sits for hours or even overnight may ferment slightly and irritate the gut rather than support it. Drinking beet juice within 15 minutes of preparation preserves its beneficial compounds and reduces digestive strain. How the juice is consumed matters as well. Sipping slowly allows blood vessels to respond gradually, reducing the likelihood of dizziness or sudden drops in blood pressure. Gulping beet juice overwhelms regulatory systems that are already more sensitive with age. Finally, rotation protects resilience. Drinking beet juice every single day without variation can increase oxalate accumulation. Alternating days or rotating with gentler options, such as cucumber or celery juice, gives the kidneys time to clear metabolic byproducts while maintaining consistent support. When senior women adopt this measured approach, beet juice stops feeling unpredictable and starts acting like the steady ally it was meant to be. And with that understanding in place, the body no longer has to fight the habit, but can finally benefit from it. As we bring everything together, the most important message to remember is that beet juice itself is not the problem. What determines whether it supports your health or quietly works against it is how it is combined, how much is used, and how well it matches the needs of a body that has changed with time. After 60, digestion becomes more selective, the kidneys less forgiving, and metabolic balance more sensitive to overload. When beet juice is paired thoughtfully and consumed with restraint, it can still support circulation energy and vascular health in a gentle, reliable way. Rather than chasing stronger effects or stacking ingredients that seem healthy on their own, the wiser approach is simplicity. One beet, the right timing, a clean preparation, and a willingness to listen to how your body responds will always deliver better results than intensity. Small, consistent choices create stability, and stability is what allows the body to heal and function well over the long term. If this video helped clarify something you may have been doing for years without realizing its impact, you are not alone. This channel exists to share clear, practical guidance for senior women, and if you feel called to support that mission, even a small donation can help this work continue and reach more women who need it. Please take a moment to like this video if it was helpful, share it with someone who drinks beet juice regularly, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future discussions like this. Thank you for spending this time with me and for taking such thoughtful care of your health.